So last month, I had a tragic anniversary in my life. I had lost a friend of mine to drug addiction 3 years earlier, and I begin the year by losing another friend to drug addiction. But I want to say that the first friend that I lost 3 years ago was a big inspiration, wake up call to me, if you will. I have an addictive personality. Now, I've never used illegal substances, but I have been addicted to various activities and foods. And after I lost the first friend, I became very concerned that I would injure myself and need to take drugs and not be able to get off. So after I lost the friend, I became much more mindful of my personal safety. It was a big inspiration for me to stop driving so recklessly. I used to go out to do stargazing, and I often didn't get enough sleep. I was on the road after 30 some hours of no sleep. I used to routinely get distracted while driving. I have I used to have a bad problem with eating while driving, with maybe not texting and driving, but doing other tasks while driving, or sometimes just getting my mind carried away while driving. I've been much more mindful of not doing that. It's kind of interesting how I was scared of the drug overdoses. I wasn't necessarily scared of being instantly killed while doing all those things while driving. So that was good. But what really woke me up was I used to have binge eating problems. And after my friend passed away, it made me realize that, maybe I could work on my addictive personality as well. Now, my binge eating, it never really physically harmed me. The harms were more social problems. I would be needing to focus on a certain task, needing to connect with people, but I would have out of control food cravings. See, I never really physically got harmed. I've never had a situation where I overate to the point that I had chronic health problems or even acute health problems, right? I've never overate to the point that I've become acutely ill from it. I've had social problems related to eating, and oftentimes when you're in the middle of a binge, you can really delude yourself and think that you're in control of it, right? It's when you're not actively binging that these things come up, right? When you're interrupted in some way and not being able to eat, right? It's just like with the heroin, right? You can use heroin, and at the moment you're using it, you can feel very in control of it, right? The real test is when you don't have access to your heroin or you can't use it for whatever reason, right? So in 2020, I made a resolution to normalize my relationship with food. It was a big wake-up call because the first couple of weeks of 2020, it was like life had seized up. I would want to eat, and I would remember that I'm in the middle of a fast, and I got 8 more hours before I'm going to allow myself to eat. And it felt like life just seized up. I'd want to make a phone call, I want to get a task done, and I could do them, but they felt awkward the first couple of times of doing it. And then 2 months into the resolution, you got to remember there was a day when I went to get my favorite food at the grocery store. All the shelves were bare, and it felt like life had seized up. It took me a few moments to collect myself and realize that, oh my God, life does go on without these things. I'm very pleased that I've made it a long, long way from that. That first day of the quarantine, my mom had called me actually, and she was worried if I had toilet paper, and I was worried about getting to this pack of kielbasa sausages. I was trying to take my mind off of what was going on, obviously. But it really went to highlight how little control I actually had of my eating, right? I felt like I was in control when I was eating it. The real test was when that food wasn't available, which is why the drugs really scared me. Now, what really scared me was I confided in a friend of mine at church about this after I had lost the friend of mine. And my other friend at church, he told me not to worry. He had been in a car accident before. He has a addictive personality himself. And he said just use the drugs as they're prescribed, right? Use like however many milligrams or whatever it was. Only use them for a certain amount of time. When he said that, I didn't tell him that. I said, well, thank you for your advice. But I was even more scared after I heard that piece of advice. because it kind of reminds me of how I used to deal with other addictions. See, when I was 16 years old, I quit drinking soda. But before I quit drinking soda, I tried to cut back on it. I tried to drink it in a certain regimen, only on certain days, only during certain events. And needless to say, that did not turn out very well. Quitting it turned out very well, right? I've been off of it for 18 years now, not a problem at all, right? I don't even crave it. So when he said it that way, it really scared the crap out of me. Now this past week, I lost another friend to drug addiction, unfortunately. And it's made me think long and hard about how I handle my other addictions in my life. I've been sleeping a whole lot better because another big addiction of mine is getting my mind so wired up, right? I need mental stimulation all the time. I talked about last week how I have a hard time with listening, active listening, because the conversation sometimes strays away from what I am interested in, and so I really should let the other side continue. I'm going to have to really practice that this week because I'm starting a new job, and I want to be more active in listening to all the details because there might be some interesting information there. I have a big negotiation coming up, and I want to be more active in listening. And the loss of my friend last week has really highlighted what can go wrong with all sorts of addictions, right? He had a very specific addiction. My addictions are more general, and I got some good sleep last night, and I want to credit him. Thanks for watching.